One of the arguments that people have about Christianity is that they think it makes people stupid, or they believe that people who are Christians do not use their brain. And to this, let me just say two things. Number one, you can't use your logical mind to follow Christ. You won't find God there. You'll miss him completely. Christianity is a faith-based lifestyle. Is beyond the religion. We believe in God. We believe in the Bible as God's word. We believe that Jesus Christ died for us. We believe in a God that we have not seen, but we believe he's real. The second thing is a lot of people are not well taught and they blame Christianity for this. Let me explain. You see, the most popular way that people have approached Christianity over the years is from a place of want. They come to God, these gods that we serve, to meet their needs, to ask for things, and they don't care to know who this God is. The resultant effect of that is instead of there are situations that will require people using their brain, using their hands to walk, for instance, they would not because they are waiting on this God to tell them what to do or to speak to them. And that is very nice. That is very good. But this needs based approach, instead of seeking God for the sake of seeking Him, has led to mediocrity. It has led to smallness. It has led to poverty and small mindedness amongst a lot of Christians. It's the reason why you see people who claim to be waiting on God, and in the process, in the midst of all that waiting, they are making terrible, terrible decisions. And that's the premise upon which we're going to be having our conversation today. There are many people who genuinely feel stuck. They do not know what to do. They do not know the next step to take because they have been trained over the years to wait on God or don't make any move without seeking the face of God. You see, that training is very good, but if it's not well taught, if it's not well communicated, you are going to get in a lot of trouble. You are going to live a life of resentment. You're going to end up hating God because you feel like this is God's will for your life. But today, I'm going to bring you another side of this God, and I'm going to paint another picture of what waiting truly looks like and how to get unstuck if you're currently in that situation. You see, the first thing you must know is that you have to know who God is in order to be able to discern his will for you. It's common sense. Sometimes we make God so abstract, but one of the things that have greatly helped my Christian walk is not demystifying God, but definitely not abstractifying him, is realizing that the relationship that we have with God is as real as the relationship that we have with all the people that we can see around us. And if you do not come to this point of almost touching God, the point where you realize that He's very real, you are not going to make progress in your life and you're not going to find peace in your walk with God. Think about it. It's like relating to somebody. You want to know what that person wants you to do, right? But you don't ever talk to the person. How would you know what the person wants you to do? That's the same way it is with God. You are in the place where you are trying to know what God's will is for your life. You do not want to deviate aside of God's will. That's beautiful. But do you even know who this God is? How are you sure that He has not already spoken, but you are the one that is not understanding what He's saying? As far as hearing from God is concerned, as far as discerning what God's will for your life is, the first thing that you must know is that God is always speaking and He's willing to speak to you. But if you do not know Him, you will definitely not recognize His voice. You will not know that He's the one speaking to you. And as a result, you will get stuck with Him. This conversation is important because there are a lot of Christians that are currently in this shoe today. Our anchor scripture for this video is Philippians 2 verse 13. And I'll read. Philippians 2 verse 13, this is amplified version. It says, "For it is not your strength, but it is God who is effectively at work in you, both to will and to work. That is, strengthening, energizing, and creating in you the longing and the ability to fulfill your purpose for His good pleasure." Now, what this means is that sometimes you're waiting for God to speak, and all He's doing is that He's impressing His will on you, such that you start taking certain actions, you start desiring certain things that most people would dismiss it as their own will or as their own mind telling them to do something. But in most cases, it is actually God impressing it upon them because He wants them to take that action. Now, the problem with this is a reality. The problem with it is it has fallen into two different hands. The first is in the hands of unbelievers. You'd find that God is the same God that makes the rain to fall on the good and the evil, right? He's also impressing His will on unbelievers because ultimately He wants everybody to be drawn to Himself. Sometimes He quickens things in the hearts of people, both believers and unbelievers. The problem is when it gets to the hands of unbelievers, they just take it as it's their mind. I just woke up one day and I just had this idea. A lot of cases, you did not just wake up and have that idea. It was actually God that put that idea in you. But because they do not know God, they would not be able to acknowledge that it is actually Him that puts that idea, as it were, in them. Now, come to the problem with some Christians. Some Christians, God gives them ideas that are sometimes a bit radical or very big, or that they feel is actually too big to execute, and they just dismiss it like, nah, God cannot possibly want me to do this. And that's where the current problem is now. Some people have made their minds, some people are so small minded that they cannot handle what God is telling them. And I'm saying this because for some of you, you are looking for a job. Meanwhile, what God is putting in your heart is to start a business because His ultimate plan for you is not just be looking for a job, is to employ people. Is that you be a job creator. But because your mind is so small, you cannot fathom that God in heaven is the one putting that idea with you. You can't wait to share your testimony on how you applied for a job and immediately they called you for an interview and you got the job. For you, that's a sweeter testimony than grinding through or going through the process of starting your own business. Do you see where the problem is now? Quickly, I'll just tell you three things to do if you feel stuck right now. Number one is to pray and read the word. And this one is simple because, like I said, you cannot discern God's will for your life. You cannot hear God speaking if you do not know what His voice sounds like. And this is what prayer and consistent Bible study will do for you. The first thing it will do for you is to build that constant communication with God. The second thing it does for you is that in the place of Bible study, you'll be able to know which idea or what thoughts in your head are good thoughts and bad thoughts. Because as God speaks, the devil also gives us stupid ideas. Our mind also gives us ideas. How would you be able to filter when it is your head or the devil that is speaking to you? The only way you can do this is by knowing His word. When you know His word, you will know what His plans for you are. You will be able to filter everything that is coming your way through the lens of the word. And this is very important, a very important skill for every Christian. Now, the second thing that you must do is take the next responsible step. Now, if you have been praying and asking God for direction or clarity on what to do, don't just sit there praying all day. Start moving, get moving. Once you know you have prayed, using this anchor verse that tells us that it is God's spirit that is in us that causes us to will and to desire and to do His good pleasure. Knowing this, that the Spirit of God is always at work in you. Know that God is always willing to do a course correction or a redirection, even if you go the wrong path. So when you know these two things, it will be easy for you to take certain steps. You will not just sit down there somewhere waiting helplessly and waiting for maybe a big voice to thunder from the skies. No, just take the next logical step. If you are out of a job, start applying or start trying. Sometimes you get those radical ideas coming to your head. Start trying them out immediately. If it's to write a book, start writing the book. Whatever comes to your head, start doing it. Trust and believe that the God that you are praying to, the God that you are communicating with every day through Bible study, is going to do a course correction if for any reason you ever deviate or go out of path. Finally, the third thing is to know who you are, know what you want, and open up your mind. You see, one thing I've come to understand is that God cannot use you beyond your mind. If, for instance, you believe that every single politician out there is dirty, politics is a dirty game, this, that, and so on and so forth, God can never use you in politics. So that means unbelievers will continue to go into politics, will continue to make bad policies and decisions that will ultimately affect you and other believers. But guess what? You will continue to only complain and pray to God to magically wipe them out. Meanwhile, his answer to that prayer is you. But you are so small minded. You do not believe that God can possibly be interested in the political space, for instance. That you just believe that you would not be able to be used in that aspect. Same thing goes for music, for instance. There are people who only believe in hymns and slow paced music as a way of reaching God. So when they hear the drums and the beats and the dancing to Christian music, they begin to act like Saul's daughter, Micah, who saw the way David was dancing and began to deride him. Well, it's your small mindedness speaking. Because guess what? If God decides that He wants to move in entertainment, He's not going to do it only through hymns. But if your mind cannot accommodate or cannot fathom the thoughts of God moving through maybe a faster beat, and I'm saying this as someone who is Catholic, I know some people who, if it's not hymns, they do not believe that is a good or a gospel music. And that's just entirely wrong. That's your small mindedness speaking. And if you do not get rid of it, you're going to find yourself restricted in certain ways. And it will look like God is not answering you or God does not want to use you. He wants to, but your mind is not allowing Him carry out His purpose in your life. I'll just wrap up by saying that unless you have clear, specific instruction from God to just sit still and do nothing, please and please just follow these 3 steps I have outlined. Trust me, you cannot go wrong going through these steps. Now it's time for your assignment. For today's assignment is very simple. All I'm asking you to do is to meditate on this Bible verse that I mentioned, that's Philippians 2, verse 13. Sit with it, ruminate over it, go over and over on it till it becomes your consciousness. And once you read that, make a prayer, offer a prayer, talk to God about what you want to do, some of the ideas that you have, that you're feeling stuck or whatever, and then take the next logical action, whatever it is that comes to mind. Of course, I do not need to say this, that if it's an illegal or an ethical or an immoral thing that is coming to your head, that one is definitely not from God. But take the next logical action and just believe that even if you're on the wrong path, even if, because most likely you will not be on the wrong path, but even if you're on the wrong path, you're going to find that God is there with His divine compass waiting to redirect you. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe and share with all your friends, and I'll see you in my next video.